Welcome to Amazon Web Services Summit for 2023. It's great to be back for another year. And hi Michelle, thanks for joining us today.
Hello Eniko, nice to be here.
This session is Transformation 1 and my name is Eneko Bilbao. I'm a Principal Solution Architect at AWS, specialising in SAP. Today we have a great session on engineering innovation at Macquarie Bank and a story about their SAP Core Banking move to AWS. Our special guest, Michelle Pereira, will be walking us through Macquarie Bank's journey and their approach to maximising the value of cloud by not just doing a traditional lift and shift. Specifically, we'll cover the background, the approach, the tech stack used in this journey, and we'll close with a brief discussion on the outcomes and lessons learned from Macquarie Bank's perspective on their SAP Core Banking move. So without further ado, over to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Eniko. So my name is Michelle Pereira. I'm Head of Delivery for Macquarie's Banking and Financial Services Group, BFS as we refer to it internally. I'm responsible for our delivery teams and our delivery portfolio, and included in that scope was the migration of our SAP Core Banking Platform to AWS. So to get us started today, a little bit of context about Macquarie Group. We are a global business that operates across 33 markets with more than 18,000 employees working across 4 operating groups. I support banking and financial services, Macquarie's Australian retail banking business. And while you may have heard about our retail bank, predominantly in the last 5 years, we have been serving the Australian retail banking market to close to 4 decades, providing a broad range of personal banking, wealth management and business banking products and services directly to our clients, but also via our advisors, our brokers and direct to our customers as well. And I provide this context to highlight that we are not a new entrant into the market, but tackled our cloud migration from the perspective of a well-established retail banking business that has evolved over many years with a complex and diverse technology stack that supports a breadth of business capabilities.
Thanks, Michelle. So obviously Macquarie is a large organisation, and specifically in the retail banking group, you've seen really strong growth in recent years and have a deep history there. Can you talk a little bit about how you approached the cloud migration program?
Absolutely. So the most important aspect when asking your team of 1,500 engineers to migrate their applications to public cloud is to articulate a compelling why. And for us, it was about enabling greater agility, resilience, speed, security, and yes, and improved cost position as well. And it's important to note that our cloud migration program was not simply a technology project. As a digital bank, our decision to move 100% of our application workload to public cloud was viewed as a business imperative, an enabler for innovation, which also delivered scale, agility, and security. So in August 2019, we set up our Cloud Acceleration Program. And today, we have over 91% of our application workload running on public cloud, including some of our most critical applications. Our online, mobile and banking platforms, our workflow applications, and our SAP Core Banking Platform, which was successfully migrated to AWS in November 2021. And we are looking to close out our cloud migration program of work over the coming months, so the end is absolutely in sight for us.
Fantastic. So taking a deeper dive on the SAP Core Banking migration, Macquarie Bank is the first bank of size in Australia to migrate its SAP Core Banking. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So for context, SAP Banking is BFS's strategic deposits and loans application that we implemented in 2015 on on-premise infrastructure. And it has served as a key foundation for our digital banking offering. Over the past few years, it has been the technology product platform that has anchored the growth we've seen in our loan book as well as our deposits portfolio. We run SAP Banking Services 9 on an Oracle database, along with several support SAP applications like GRC for security, PO for integration, and Business Warehouse for data modelling and extraction. We operate 6 long-running stable environments across production and non-production, and today, operating on AWS, we're able to spin up many short-lived instances to support specific testing requirements or feature build activities when they do occur. When we ran on on-prem infrastructure, we had over 200 servers across 2 data centres operating on vBlock infrastructure. Today, we run on AWS across 3 availability zones with elastic infrastructure. At a minimum, we deploy to production fortnightly and have enjoyed high availability despite a high rate of change in the environment.
That's some fantastic reliability for you and your customers, Michelle. So, winding back to the beginning, were there any guiding principles that BFS applied to the migration?
So, good question. More broadly in BFS, as part of our cloud acceleration program, we set some guardrails for our engineers. We encourage teams to explore SaaS and PaaS as a priority, followed by containerization and then cloud IaaS as a last resort. In the case of core banking, running Banking Services 9 on Oracle EC2 instances, the platform fell into the category of cloud IaaS. But even with cloud IaaS, our core banking engineers had to re-engineer the code and the applications to make use of cloud-native features and to automate through infrastructure as code. Specifically for core banking, there were 3 guiding principles that we focused on. Firstly, infrastructure as code. Each SAP system across each environment is built from a common code base, and changes to infrastructure need to be managed as source code. The second principle, immutable infrastructure. Infrastructure as code allows the team to treat the infrastructure as disposable, and it drives the behaviour that any change must be deployed through the pipeline, starting with the non-production environments first. And in line with the guardrails, we set all our applications on cloud. Core banking automates the build of infrastructure, and we rebuild our infrastructure whenever there's a change in the environment, or in the very least, every 90 days. And what this basically does is it allows a regular cadence of stack roles that allows us to automate the management of risk and vulnerabilities and keeps our core banking platform on the latest version of the technology stack. And the third guiding principle was that the platform needed to be vendor supported. So it was important to us that the target architecture of the platform remained an SAP-supported design all the way throughout the stack. And as you know, Eniko, we worked very closely with both SAP and AWS to ensure we operated on a supported specification for our core banking stack.
I certainly remember working with the team and everyone being very conscious of the importance of the AWS and SAP-supported patterns. And throughout the project, in terms of the actual migration, can you talk through the objectives from both an operational and an execution perspective?
Well, as with everything we do at BFS, we start with the customer in mind. So it was super important to us that we kept the outage window as small as possible to minimise customer impacts. And we were able to engineer that outage window down to just under 3.5 hours, and then to execute the migration in the middle of the night to minimise any impact to our customers. We also wanted no impact to end-of-day reporting. As you can well imagine, a significant amount of downstream systems and batch critical processes rely on the data and the daily feeds from SAP, and we certainly did not want to impact that timeline. And then, given the real-time nature of the integrations with core banking, the migration activities needed to ensure data integrity was maintained during the shutdown and startup transition. And then, in terms of our operational objectives, the cloud migration project had to run in parallel with BAU. Much of the project work occurred during the pandemic throughout the COVID lockdowns, and we had a significant volume of work to support COVID-specific product changes for our customers. Changes like the ability for our customers to request a payment pause on their mortgage. So for the duration of the cloud migration project, test environments and the deployment pipeline into production needed to remain operational. And then we also needed to be operationally ready the instant we cut over. We needed to be able to handle the business volumes from the moment the first transaction hit the SAP database. And importantly, our DevOps teams now needed to support the platform across the full breadth of the stack, from application layer all the way through to the infrastructure layer. Internally, we say reliability is our #1 feature across all our technology platforms. And as I said before, even running on on-prem legacy infrastructure, the core banking platform was incredibly stable. So moving to AWS, the platform needed to reach or exceeded those previous reliability requirements. And I'm happy to say, 18 months since the migration, we have not only met those reliability objectives, we have now exceeded those reliability objectives.
Excellent. That's wonderful, Michelle. We certainly hold reliability as a key customer requirement at AWS. So being a banking application, supporting more than 1.7 million customers, the go live must have been a big moment. Can you tell us a little bit about how you prepared for this and what went through?
Go live was certainly a tremendous and a very big moment for everybody involved, and certainly that was made possible by an amazing team who worked on it. To deliver the project, we established a very lean, multidisciplinary team of just 10 engineers. So we had a team of cloud engineers, SAP engineers and DBAs who worked iteratively over an 18-month period to deliver the project. Our DevOps team gained confidence in operating the platform on AWS by supporting our test environments in the cloud for a period of time prior to the production cutover. We also proved the concept, both the build and the migration approach, by first focusing on the migration of a non-business critical component of the platform. In our case, it was SAP GRC. And then we rolled out that model to the more business critical components like banking services. And then in terms of our approach to the cutover, the main event occurred in the early hours of a Sunday morning to minimise impacts on the customer and staff. And we focused on the time-critical components of the system first. So largely the banking services application. And then we focused on the less critical components of the platform, components like the business warehouse, later in the day, as it only became critical for Sunday's end-of-day processing window. And then speaking of the go live, I would say one of the key success factors was our highly available architecture and automated deployment pipeline enabled by our incredible cloud governance platform. And since you were the AWS solution architect, Eneko, perhaps I'll hand over to you to talk us through that architecture in a little bit more detail.
Awesome, thank you very much. So to talk a little bit about the cloud governance platform, which in my view, I think is the secret sauce. Your ability to allow engineers time to work on higher value activities and really derive cloud value is driven by this platform. So Macquarie have developed their cloud governance platform, internally known as Arturo, which is used more broadly across the group. And it's essentially an abstraction layer which allows applications to be built and configured using automation, automatic controls, and iterative deployment. Arturo is an orchestration pipeline using common techniques like infrastructure as code, text-based configuration repositories, automated provisioning, inbuilt monitoring, and then tear-down automation as well. The value is that SAP is code just like any other application, and that code can be read, it can be checked, it can be scanned, and I think it's monitored for over 160 controls. For example, items like misconfigured S3 buckets, open firewalls, unpatched server AMIs, they don't get through the automation process because they're caught by automated policies and guardrails in the code pipeline. This allows BFS to maintain an excellent security and reliability posture because they know what is deployed and how it is configured. It also adds agility in that they can add new controls at any time, and their infrastructure will be redeployed soon after in compliance with those controls. This concept extends even to system maintenance after a system is running. Administrators can break glass and access servers directly in case of emergencies, but if this is done, the server's marked as stale, and I believe it begins a countdown timer for it to be rebuilt from the committed code. And this ensures that even in those emergency situations, changes are pushed back to the repository and scanned for controls, and the system is returned to a known state soon. The auditability, the security, and the agility provided by Arturo is maximising cloud value by leveraging AWS's APIs to really automate everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as a brief overview of Macquarie Bank's SAP on AWS platform, their systems leverage AWS's availability zones to run across 3 locations in a highly available cluster using Red Hat clustering software for the application and Oracle Data Guard at the data layer. In terms of reliability, AWS's availability zones allow a recovery point objective of near zero due to our high-speed, highly redundant networks connecting our AZs, meaning that the database can synchronously replicate data across locations. And in case of component failure, a quick switch to a standby node in another availability zone and resuming serving customers. The added benefit of having SAP systems spread across these availability zones with redundancy and cluster software is that during maintenance and rebuilds, these changes can occur on the secondary node first without any downtime. And when the changes are complete on the secondary systems, they can be promoted to primary with minimal interruption to the users and to the business. The primary node can then be upgraded and be added back into the cluster.
Yeah.
And it's this ability to flip-flop back and forth from primary to secondary nodes. It gives you a great operational agility, and it really facilitates that more frequent patching, the improved change frequency, and the greater reliability. So now that we've covered a deeper dive into the architecture, Michelle, can you talk to some of the outcomes of the project and maybe some of the ongoing benefits to Macquarie Bank?
Absolutely. So moving to AWS allowed a significant step up to newer elastic infrastructure. For core banking, from a performance perspective, we track 2 critical high-level metrics: the end-of-day batch processing times and the API performance. And immediately following the migration to cloud, both our end-of-day batch processing times and our API performance improved by close to 20%. And this uplift in terms of performance, especially as it relates to our APIs, is super important to us. We are a digital bank, and it's all about smoother, faster, frictionless experiences for our customers. So the uplift in performance from the moment we cut over was a strong win for us. And then today, almost 18 months after our migration, we continue to leverage the benefits of infrastructure flexibility. It has allowed the team to continue to experiment and learn and fine-tune the platform. And since operating on the cloud, the team has improved end-of-day processing by a further 20%, partially by moving to the R6 instances. And from a cost management perspective, AWS's flexibility to make granular decisions on all infrastructure components in the stack has allowed us to reduce operational costs while uplifting performance. We are now able to shut down non-production environments after hours, or we can scale up when required to support production-like non-functional testing.
With any project of this size and impact, there are obviously going to be lessons learned. Anything you'd like to share to help other customers embarking upon a similar journey?
So, more broadly, across our entire cloud acceleration program, we made the very deliberate decision not to outsource our cloud migrations to a third party or to create separate burst teams to drive delivery. Instead, we invested in our people through training and certifications and allowed the people who knew the platforms best, our DevOps engineers, to drive the cloud migration for their respective platforms. And today, with just over 91% of our workload on public cloud, we have a team of cloud-literate engineers who have significantly upskilled their capabilities over the last 2 to 3 years and are well capable of operating their platforms on cloud. So I would say, lesson number 1, invest in your teams, invest in your people, and don't outsource the work. Then I would say getting to cloud is only the first step. And once you're in the cloud, it's all about learning to live in the cloud. It's about ensuring the mindset shift to make sure teams are operating as consumers of cloud technology. And I think our decision to not outsource the migrations has meant our DevOps teams are far more cloud literate and are better prepared to live in the cloud and take advantage of the new capabilities and innovations AWS enables. And then, as you spoke to, there is a lot of value to be had with a strong cloud enablement team to provide the thought leadership and the expertise and the tooling required to drive consistency and efficiencies across the organisation. At Macquarie, our central cloud enablement team built much of the foundational capabilities. So Arturo, that you previously spoke to, Eniko, was built to help application teams across Macquarie orchestrate and manage their applications on AWS. Arturo provides a common set of tooling and capabilities that we all require to manage all aspects of our core banking platform on AWS, from deployment through to operations through to cost management. And having that foundational tooling in place not only simplified the migration, but has proved to be invaluable in supporting our day-to-day operations on AWS. And last, but certainly not least, I spoke about the importance of operating on vendor-supported solutions, especially as it relates to core banking, an SAP-supported solution for us. And as you know, we leveraged our partnership with AWS as well as SAP to provide us with the solution architects and the technical account management skills we required and to conduct our well-architected reviews, in this case with an SAP-specific lens, to provide us with the assurances we needed for the migration.
Thanks for sharing those great benefits, Michelle. It was a great project with some good outcomes delivered.
Absolutely. And to give some additional context, in our half-year results presentation in October, we reported 10% growth in our loans portfolio to 121 billion, and also a 19% growth in total deposits in BFS to 116.7 billion. And pleasingly, our SAP Core Banking Platform on AWS has been able to scale to support this growth in our business without missing a beat in terms of both performance or reliability.
That's just awesome. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
We find that many companies struggle to build a solid business case for cloud adoption. So it's great to hear some examples here from Macquarie. For customers thinking about a migration or beginning their journey, AWS can provide a cloud value framework and share important KPIs that measure more than just the value gained from direct cost savings. Items like improved staff productivity, increased operational resilience, and business agility are all aspects of cloud value that we can help you explore. You can increase efficiency and agility by modernising legacy systems with AWS. By migrating workloads such as SAP, financial services institutions can operate in a more efficient, agile and elastic environment and reallocate those precious IT resources from maintaining systems to higher business value initiatives. And speaking of empowering technology teams, Michelle mentioned that one of the lessons learned was around empowering employees with cloud skills. Here at AWS, we regularly support millions learning with AWS training and certification. We have online tools such as Skill Builder, which you can use in the classroom setting or online at your own pace. Learn what you want, when you want, and how you want it. Technology makes innovation possible, but it's the people who build that better tomorrow. So in closing, a final thank you to Michelle for being here today and for sharing Macquarie Bank's story with our audience.
Thank you for having me, Aniko.
Well, everyone, that's a wrap. We really value your feedback to help us improve our sessions. So please share your out of 5 rating in our session survey.